Hello, this is Jackie Knopflin. I am the chairwoman of the Democratic Committee here in Bristol, Virginia. Welcome, and welcome. Thank all of you candidates for accepting the invitation to come and be here with us in the meet and greet. You have your times and so forth, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Well, that was short and to the point.
You said don't preach. He said don't preach.
I told her not to preach, and she did.
Well, wait a minute, I can always go back.
All right. Is this mic working, everybody here? Is it working, the mic? Does it need a little bit more volume? All right. Okay, my name is Ed Harlow, in case you don't know. And I'm here to let you know about the rules that we're going to be following tonight. We don't have very many rules. We might say that our rules are liberal. So we don't have any way to enforce them. So if you don't go by them, there's no way we can punish you. But anyway, we're going to let you know what they are and put you on your good behavior. And I think that all of you will be just fine. First thing, we want to make sure that everybody mute your phone. We don't want phones ringing while the candidates are speaking. You can take pictures if you want to with your phone. We prefer not flash photography. And each candidate will speak for 5 minutes. Back here is Justin Hall, and he's in the back. And occasionally when you're speaking, you look back there to him. And when you get down to you said you spoke 4 minutes, he'll hold up and let you know that you got 1 minute left. And then after you go 5 minutes, he's going to let you know that you've 5 minutes. Now, if you go in the middle of a sentence and you need to complete it, that's okay. We're not going to penalize you or punish you in any way. So if you please do that, and then while the speakers are speaking, please hold your applause until they get finished, and then after they finish their speech, then you're welcome to applaud. There's no time allotted for questions from the audience. After the speakers speak and say what they have to say, then we'll have some time after the speeches, perhaps before the library closes, for you to get together and ask them anything you want to ask. And please wear your face mask at all times, except when you're up here speaking at the podium. You may remove your face mask. Is there any questions? If not, I'd like to introduce Catherine Brillhart, and she is going to come and introduce each of the candidates, and then she will call on you in the order that you will be speaking. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, and thank you for the introduction. I want to thank all of the candidates for being here tonight, as well as your willingness to serve the citizens of Bristol, Virginia, and for the work that you're doing out campaigning and seeking an elected office. There are 4 constitutional offices on the ballot for the November 2nd, 2021 general election in Bristol, Virginia, and those are Commonwealth Attorney, Sheriff, Commissioner of Revenue, and Treasurer. Tonight we will begin with the 2 contested races or offices, Sheriff and Commissioner of Revenue. Candidates seeking one of these offices will be speaking in alphabetical order based on your last name. We will begin with the office of Sheriff. And I want you to know that you can feel free to adjust the microphone if you'd like. In fact, I probably should have adjusted for myself. Also, I'm going to be cleaning and sanitizing the podium after each speaker, so if you'll just bear with me on that. So I'll go ahead and use some hand sanitizer before I call up the first candidate. I think we also have the handheld mic. Is that right? It's working as well, if you want to use the handheld mic. Okay, I think it's fairly clean. So first of all, I want to introduce the first candidate, and this will be for the office of Sheriff, and this is R. Tyrone Foster. So if you'll please come forward to the podium.
Thank you, Ms. Catherine. Well, good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tyrone Foster, and I am running for the office of Sheriff for the city of Bristol, Virginia. I'm running as an independent candidate, but I'll explain to you a little bit later if I can get past my 5 minutes to tell you why I'm running as an independent. But let me start out just a little bit about me in case you don't know about me. I'm a lifelong resident of Bristol, Virginia. I'm married to Becky Hicks Foster. I have 5 children and 4 grandchildren. I graduated from Virginia High in 1976, and then thought that I was going to fulfill my lifelong dream of going into law enforcement, because that's what I always wanted to do, was join the Air Force and come back and be a state policeman. Well, God had different plans for me. 24 years later, after working at Electrolux, I finally got to live my dream out and was selected to have a job at the Bristol, Virginia Police Department. Now, I've been at the Bristol, Virginia Police Department now for 21 years, and during that 21 years, I currently am a detective, but I've also served as a patrolman as well. And also, some of the titles that I carry there is a crisis hostage negotiator, senior gang investigator. I am a master detective, like I said earlier, field training officer, and I'm a U.S. Marshal Task Force member. I'm also a team member of the Adult Drug Court Treatment Team, which is through the Circuit Court of the City of Bristol, and I'll elaborate a little bit on that later. I'm also a member of the Marcus Alert Regional Stakeholders Panel, and most importantly, I still hold all my certifications with the Commonwealth of Virginia and Department of Criminal Justice as a certified law enforcement officer with arresting powers. I can stand up here all day and talk to you about my community involvement, but just to hit on a few things over the last 45 years, I've been loyal to my community, and I've always wanted to give back to my community. Some of the things I've done, I've been elected to the Bristol, Virginia School Board since 2008. I'm currently the chairman of the school board, and during that time as a school board member, I've been fortunate to serve as a state officer, as a regional chairman, a member at large, as well as the state president, which actually represented the whole Commonwealth of Virginia in 2018 and 2019. So I was real proud to do that for Bristol and to put Bristol on the map. Some of the other community things, like I said, I could be up here all night, but I'm a member of the Bristol 2040 Vision Steering Committee. I'm a member of Bristol Baseball Incorporated Board of Directors, and I'm a member of Fellowship Chapel, where I'm involved with the security team leader and the band ministry. And going back to the reason that I always wanted to run for sheriff, it's no secret about my law enforcement dream of mine and my wanting to give back to my community. But now, to be a sheriff, I can go back and say now that this would be a feather in my cap. I've already done the enforcement part as a patrolman. I'm currently doing the investigative part. So if I'm elected sheriff, then it would actually put me in a position to live out the corrections part of it, but most importantly, the rehabilitation, because that's what we need to look at more than anything besides correction is rehabilitation here in the city of Bristol. So to go on a little bit further, to let you know a little bit about my goals, this isn't all of them, but just some to touch on. My number one goal is, I got 1 minute left, I'm gonna hustle, you know, the elephant in the room is the deteriorating condition of the jail and the overcrowding. My goal is to develop a plan to update, renovate, and expand the current jail where it's at. Virginia High School was built a wing at a time. You know, I've given those questions, and I keep hearing we can't afford it because we have to get it to this standard. We got to get it to that standard. But when I talk to voters that I've already spoken to here recently, they're telling me, we want to know how much money it's going to cost. We want to know the difference between the cost and the price. But that's my plan, is to develop, renovate, and expand the current jail to avoid loss of jobs and positions, because you know, we can't bring Amazon in and the casino in and then ship off 40 to 50 of our most loyal employees, especially those with rank. And those guys down there really deserve the fight, and they deserve somebody who will stand up for them and fight. So with that being said, my time's up. I didn't get through all my goals, but anyway, I'll be glad to discuss some more goals with you after it's over with. Thank you so much to the Democratic Party again for inviting me here tonight, and I hope I gain your support as we work together to make Bristol, Virginia a good place to live. Thank you.
I will sanitize the podium again.
Can everybody hear me? Yep. I think I'll use this and maybe save Catherine a little time.
You can take your mask off.
For those of you that don't know me,
In front of the podium.
forgot I was on camera. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Charlie Thomas. I was born in Abingdon, moved to Bristol when I was 2 years old. Grew up on the Tennessee side, graduated from Tennessee High in 1983. My wife, Pam, is a 32-year veteran of the Bristol, Virginia Sheriff's Office. She just retired a little less than a month ago. And for the last 32 years, I've been part of that family. I've watched our kids have grown up together. Those people have become more than friends. They've become family to me. And like my opponent, I think that it's a mistake to see the jail go. And this is, I'm not seeking an office, I'm not seeking a title, I'm seeking a job. And my job is to work for you guys, the rest of the citizens of this city, and those employees to try to do everything that I can to save those jobs and keep the jail here. Because if the jail goes, all our opportunities for rehabilitation, for inmate programs, for mental health counseling, for all those other things are taken out of our hands and put into the hands of a regional jail authority. So that's priority number one. A little bit about myself. I started my career on this side of town as a volunteer back in 1989. My last year as an auxiliary police officer over here, I put in about 2,800 hours. For those of you that know, a full-time job's about 2,080 hours a year. To say that I was eat up with it is an understatement. I didn't have kids at the time, and law enforcement just got in my blood. I had a full-time job. I worked for a company that did radio and communication repair for the police and fire in this area. That's how I got to know all the police officers and the firemen and the EMTs. It started me down a career path. I joined the Bristol Life-Saving Crew, which is where I met my wife. We met in EMT class, and I've lived over here, like I say, since 1989. As far as my professional background, I got hired as a full-time officer with Bristol, Tennessee Police Department in 1992. In 1999, I became a detective. In 2002, I was promoted to sergeant. I started our domestic violence unit, wrote all the policies and procedures for that, all the paperwork. Ended up on the state panel that awarded the grants for that to law enforcement and other agencies. I did that for about a year. In 2005, I was promoted to lieutenant. I stayed in CID. And one of the accomplishments of my career that I'm the most proud of is I changed the way that we assigned and tracked cases, and our case clearance rate increased dramatically after that, and it's been going up ever since. And they still follow that procedure that I implemented when I was a lieutenant. In 2007, I was promoted to captain. I stayed up there till 2014 when Tommy McDaniels retired. I'm sure most of you that have drawn a breath in the last 20 years know Tommy McDaniels. And at that point in time, I asked to go back to patrol. I've been a patrolman at heart for my entire life, and I just wanted to be back on the road as my career at the Bristol, Tennessee Police Department came to a close. I have developed budgets. Our current patrol budget's about $3.7 million. I am responsible for developing that, presenting it, and seeing that we stay within it. I have written lots and lots of grants to bring money into this community without the cities having to fork it over. I've participated in our hiring process and our disciplinary process. I'm a graduate of the Southern Police Institute, which is kind of like the FBI Academy on steroids. And I graduated I was the only person in my class of almost 60 people that didn't have rank when I went through it. And I graduated #1 academically. And I was given the Leadership Award, which was voted on by my class members. So that's another thing that I'm very proud of. And he's telling me my time's up. I'll be available here after this is over with. I want to thank Jackie and the Democrat committee for having us and giving us this opportunity. And anybody's got any questions, find me after this is over.
We'll do another cleaning. So the next office that we will, the next office that we will be moving on to is the Commissioner of Revenue. And the first candidate I will be calling to the podium is Clo Eva Barker.
Hi, my name is Clo Eva Barker, and I'm seeking re-election to the office of the Commissioner of the Revenue. I'm running as a Democratic candidate. I began working in the office in 1985 after graduating from Emory and Henry College. I hold an associate's degree in business administration and a bachelor's degree in accounting. I've worked under 3 previous commissioners before putting my hat in the ring in 2017. The office of the Commissioner of the Revenue is a constitutional office of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We serve a 4-year term and are elected by the citizens of that locality. I serve as the chief taxing authority for the city. I am responsible for the assessment of all real estate, all personal and business vehicles, determining ownership and valuation for tax purposes, assessment of all business tangible personal property and machinery and tools tax, issuance of business licenses for city businesses and those who work within the city or perform services for the city, and also special events that the city holds. Maintaining real estate ownership information by reading deeds, wills, and affidavits. Maintaining assessment values on all properties through the real estate assessment process set forth by the state code. We review all permits issued by the city for real estate value changes and plat changes. Overseeing the state income tax filing process, we prepare tax returns for all city residents and also residents in Tennessee who work on the Virginia side. We review and correct all returns that receive in our office for the Virginia Tax Department and submit tax dues and estimated taxes to the treasurer and then to the tax department. Furthermore, my office has received all clean audit reports from the Auditor of Public Accounts, where our focus is on maintaining accountability over the Commonwealth's collections, establishing internal controls, and complying with state law and regulations concerning the receipt and custody of state money. Overseeing the tax relief program for the elderly and disabled, for real estate taxes, and for trash fees. Overseeing the tax relief program for our veterans, and also this year we've added the personal property mandate on vehicles by the General Assembly. Collection of meal tax, lodging tax, and admission tax for the businesses within our city. Verifying taxes reported and paid by the Falls businesses for bond reporting. Verifying taxes reported and paid by businesses on the city incentive programs. My office is required to perform numerous studies and questionnaires by various state departments and other agencies. My mission in the office is to ensure fair and equitable identification and assessment of all sources of revenue to which the city is entitled according to the laws of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Code 58.1, better known as the Bible, so to speak, and the corresponding ordinances and the charter for the city. Actively advocating and promoting programs to minimize the tax burden on our citizens and assisting taxpayers in participating in tax reduction programs. Providing taxpayers with accurate and useful information concerning assessments, providing city officials with accurate and useful information for budget projections and other items from which decisions can be made to best serve the citizens of Bristol, and to provide efficient, effective, and courteous service in a timely manner to the citizens of Bristol. During my 35 years in office, one of the most important lessons that I have learned is to listen. The importance of listening cannot be overstated. Public servants on the local levels are the ones who answer the questions in the grocery store, at church, the department stores. And I have been addressed many times in these 25 years as, "That's my tax lady." I have a very knowledgeable and dedicated staff. During the pandemic, we have embraced training in our office with Zoom meetings for our quarterly association and deputy meetings. We have taken advantage of online educational training, each of us taking yearly classes through the Career Development Program with Weldon Cooper UVA Center. Additional training is required of the Commissioner through the Virginia Tax Department, DMV, FOIA, VACO, and VAA, to name a few. We work to maintain a knowledge of the office workings. I promote professionalism throughout the education of my staff to the highest quality of service. The Commissioner's office should not be used as a stepping stone for ambitious political climbers. It is a working office, and the citizens of Bristol deserve someone who is experienced and has dedicated their career to working for them in the betterment of the city. I thank each of you all for coming this evening, and I would appreciate your support and vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
Okay, so the second candidate on the list for the Commissioner of Revenue is Stephen E. Gobble Jr.
For those of you all that do not know me, my name is Stephen Gobble Jr., a candidate for Commissioner of Revenue. I'm the Republican candidate. It's one of those things, basically just go ahead and start off with where I'm from, what I'm doing, why I'm running for Commissioner of Revenue, and I'm a fourth generation Bristolian. So my roots run deep in Bristol. I'm very proud of this city. I'm not one of those that, however, grew up here. I'm actually one that actually grew up with a father that was assistant manager and got relocated several times throughout my lifetime. I graduated from Abilene High School in 1995 with an advanced studies diploma. However, because of the fact that I was lower middle income, I was to the point to where I was not poor enough for the government to help, but my parents weren't rich enough to be able to send me to college either. So a lot of my education that I have, it's self-taught, self-educated, and I've went through and actually got a career certificate through Penn Foster Career Schools for physical therapy aid. I actually know people at Ballot Health that are actually in very good positions right now, but that's not where God eventually led me to. But years ago, I decided that, I did want to run for office, but God, please tell me where you want me to go, what you want me to do. I even went to my aunt, wherever she's at right now, Sarah Williams. She's my aunt, very popular with the Democrat committee, and I asked her, what do I need to do to go ahead and stand up? She said, get involved. And this is not a stepping stone for me. This is where God led me to. And it did not become that apparent to me until earlier this year when I was actually looking at everything that I have in front of me. Because with the city council, they asked me to go ahead and take a job, or what I call a job, to be part of Mount Rogers Planning Commission. And I openly said, yes, I'll go wherever God tells me to go. They've seen fit to trust me enough to make me their treasurer. and chair of the Budget Committee. And I've also been part of the Bristol Library Board for the last 4 years, I believe. So my roots are deep in Bristol. I don't plan on going anywhere. But I believe that the people in Bristol, we need to go ahead and stand up and protect the people and the businesses that come here. We need to go ahead and get as much government out of the way to make sure that the businesses here can thrive, that we make good quality capital investments, that through those capital investments, we're able to draw more tax revenue into the city to be able to lower the taxes and the tax burden that's put on the people and the citizens of this city. And that we need to go ahead and make sure that when they come to us, we treat them with as much dignity and respect as we can, and that ethics are practiced through the office, no matter which office that it is. And openness and clarity is there for the people. And we need to protect the people. We need to make sure that the people are happy and make sure that they don't want to go anywhere. I'm actually a real estate agent that specializes in commercial and residential real estate both, advancing my career there. And that's what I do in my free time. I don't have free time. I even have a neighbor that she's like, how do you do it all? I said, because I have to. And because idle hands are the devil's workshop. So if I'm elected, I'm going to make sure that I do everything in my power to make sure that the assessments are done correctly, ethically, and that if people have questions and concerns, they have a place that they know that they can come to. And it's the only thing I can really say is if you have more questions, I'll be here for a little bit after the event. Thank you, Ms. Jackie. Thank you, Democrat Committee, for allowing a Republican like me to go ahead and stand up and be able to be open and honest and transparent to you about who I am and what I stand for. Thank you.
So the final candidate for the Commissioner of Revenue is Franklin Neal Osborne.
All right, thank you, Catherine. And I know Ed said to keep it to 5 minutes, so I'll keep it to 5 minutes, no matter how long it takes me. That's the only joke I got, so you can laugh now. Briefly, thank you to the Democratic Committee for putting this on. I think you're doing a good public service to have this event. And I think it's a testament to the importance of these offices that you have, Republican candidates, Democrat candidates, and independent candidates like myself who are coming out to talk about our visions for the office and for the city. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Neal Osborne. I'm the Vice Mayor of the City of Bristol. I've been on the City Council since 2018, and I served a term as your mayor. And I'm the independent candidate running for Commissioner of the Revenue, and I'll tell you why. So, Bristol is on the precipice of major economic growth. We've got Amazon to open shortly. The Hard Rock is on its way in the next year or so. Texas Roadhouse, Michael Waltrip Brewing. We've got a whole lot of businesses coming. And with those businesses, we're going to have a whole lot of new residents coming and new revenue. And I feel it's important that whoever's in the office of the commissioner has a full understanding of where those revenue line items go into our city budget. That's something I've worked on the past 3 years, along with our city manager, with our other members of council, and with our finance department, to be sure that we craft a fiscally responsible budget every year, and that's what we've done. There are a few things that I would like to hit on real quick As far as plans for what I'd like to do in the Office of Commissioner, I'll try and be quick about them. So number one, I think it's important that we have as open and transparent an Office of the Commissioner of Revenue as possible. People need to feel welcomed if they're coming to the office, because generally they have some type of question, some type of tax problem, or they might be a small business owner who's trying to get off the ground, or maybe they have a problem. And you know, one of the reasons that I'm running for this, before I decided to, I had people coming to me asking about the real estate reassessment. You know, they had questions, they felt like there was no rhyme or reason to why this house went up by 30%, this house didn't. So I feel like a very open and transparent process in the Office of the Commissioner would be very beneficial to our city and to our citizens. Number two, I feel like we need to be sure that we are ensuring accuracy of any revenue numbers that come into the city, that come to our city office, because we need to be good stewards of our taxpayer money. That's something that we've worked on at City Hall for the past 3 years, and we will continue to work on, but we have a duty incumbent upon us to be responsible with people's money. And that's what we're trying to do with the City Council, and that's what I would like to do as the Commissioner. I think another thing that would be beneficial, especially with Amazon, with the Hard Rock, with new businesses coming, we should do regular check-ins, in my opinion, with small businesses. It's fantastic that we've got Amazon and Hard Rock, but at the end of the day, small businesses tend to be the backbone of a local economy, or of a local town or downtown. So I think that I would say within the first 6 months, you'd want to be sure that you're doing regular check-ins with these businesses to make sure they understand the requirements, what they need to be doing to make sure they're staying up to date on their paperwork, up to date on their taxes. And finally, one thing that I would like to implement is a regular meeting, at least quarterly, in the communities. I think that if we could go out and set up a mobile office, you know, at at church fellowship halls, at school cafeterias, and you know, meet the people where they are. You know, because some people might not work 8 to 5, or might work 8 to 5 and might not be able to get to the courthouse. So I think that being out in the community and being very visible would be extremely helpful. I think it would benefit our citizens, benefit our businesses. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, local politics, local government is you're working in your neighborhood and you're helping your neighbors. And I think that's one of the main duties we need to do, is be visible and help our citizens and help our neighbors. And so that's me, and that's why I'm running. And if you have any questions for me, I'll be here after this. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we are moving on to the office of treasurer. Our candidate for treasurer is Angelia Harris, Angel Britt.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? My name is Angel Britt, and I have had the pleasure of serving the citizens of the city of Bristol, Virginia as their treasurer since 2010. I am the Republican Committee's nominee for treasurer, and a special thanks to all the people involved with the Democratic Committee for hosting us tonight. I have lived in Bristol, Virginia all of my life. I graduated from Virginia High School. I have a bachelor's degree from the University, oh goodness, I'm so sorry. University of Virginia, that's where my master's is from, so I jumped over a little bit. I have a bachelor's degree in science in organizational management from Virginia Intermont College. My courses there that gave me a firm foundation for the Office of Treasurer include accounting, financial planning, statistics, and ethics. The duties of the Treasurer's Office include receipt and collection of all of the revenue for the city, safekeeping of revenue, and appropriate accounting and for disbursements for all the city revenue. It is imperative to continually seek better accountability, greater oversight, and more efficient procedures and processes, as well as work within my departmental budget to keep expenses at a minimum. To achieve higher standards, I enrolled in the Master Governmental Treasurers Program through the University of Virginia's Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service. In 2013, I became the first treasurer for the city of Bristol, Virginia to earn the certification. Upon certification, I was eligible to enroll my office in the Treasurers Associations of Virginia's accreditation program. My staff and I have achieved office accreditation for the past 8 years. This is also a first for the city of Bristol. I would like to acknowledge my skilled and my talented staff. All of my full-time staff are enrolled in the Deputy Treasurer Certification Program. I have 2 deputies who have completed all the requirements and courses for certification. The Code of Virginia mandates the authority of all constitutional officers. We do not create the law, and our duties are strictly defined by the state code and the city charter. The tax bill process actually begins in the Commissioner of the Revenue's office with the assessment of property. The amount due on your tax bills is a direct result of City Council and the tax rate they set to fund the city's annual budget. The treasurer's job is to collect the taxes. As the treasurer, I take an oath of office to discharge my duties without partiality. During the past 12 years, I have reinforced the true value of property ownership and the rights and responsibilities thereof. And I would like to thank our taxpayers, all of you guys, for paying their taxes. The city is able to fund our schools, our police, and our firefighters, as well as meet our financial obligations and pay our debt payments. I do appreciate everyone coming out tonight and your time, and it would be my honor to serve you as treasurer for the next 4 years. I will be around after this. I've tried to speak with everybody, but if I've missed someone, I would like that pleasure. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Our final office is the office of Commonwealth Attorney, and our candidate for Commonwealth Attorney is Jerry Allen Wolf. And if you'll be using this, I'll be glad to wipe that down. Okay, all right, thank you. And I do want to thank all of our candidates for being here tonight and for speaking with us. Thank you.
Good evening. I first want to thank the Democratic Committee, thank Reverend Knopflin and former mayors, Mr. Harlow and Ms. Brillhart, for sponsoring this tonight and giving us an opportunity to come out and meet and greet the citizens and the voters of Bristol, Virginia. I too am a native of Bristol, very proud of that. I'm probably the oldest guy here running. I was actually born in Bristol, Virginia, and not too many people can say that, but I was born at Grigsby's Obstetric Hospital over on Moore Street, right across from the police department. And I grew up here in Bristol, a product of the Bristol, Virginia school system. Graduated in 1973. And after that, I went to King College, just across the line, and got my bachelor's degree there. And after completing my studies at King College, I went to Wake Forest University School of Law over in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and that's where I got my law degree, and that's the only 3 years that I have not lived in Bristol, Virginia. Came back to Bristol and began practicing law here, first with a law firm that included Jim Nunley and Adrian White, and was with them for about a couple of years before I went out on my own, and was a private practicing attorney in Bristol from about 1980 up until, well, I'm still a practicing attorney, but was a private attorney until I was elected to the office of Commonwealth Attorney in 2004. I practiced quite a bit in the criminal, I was a criminal defense attorney, and also I did a lot of real estate law during that period of time. But in 2004, I had the opportunity, after former Judge Kirksey retired from the position of Commonwealth Attorney, I had the opportunity to run for that office, and thankfully the voters of Bristol, Virginia elected me at that point in time. I will say before that, though, I had spent the previous 16 years on the Bristol, Virginia City Council. I was first elected in 1988 and served 4 full terms on the Bristol, Virginia City Council, and 7 of those terms as I had the privilege of being the mayor of Bristol, Virginia. And so I have been involved with public service here in Bristol all my life, really. I feel like I was just a kid. I was 32 when I first got into public life, and have been doing it ever since. Let me tell you a little bit about the Office of Commonwealth Attorney. The Commonwealth Attorney is the chief prosecutor in the court system in Bristol, Virginia. And what that means is that, and I have to give a shout out to our wonderful police department, but those men and women on the police department are the ones who, and I always tell this story to the, when I have a grand jury meets every 3 months, that the sign across State Street that says Bristol is a good place to live is the truth. And the reason it's the truth is because of the men and women who work in the police department, who don't turn a blind eye to things that are going wrong in the community. And I have to give credit, Tyrone Foster is one of our detectives. Charlie Thomas has done exactly the same thing over on the Tennessee side. It's because of men like these and the women that work along with them as well, who do that job and bring folks, arrest folks who have done things that are against the law, and bring them along with the evidence to us to be able to prosecute these folks. And what I have always tried to do, I think the main thing that we do in our office is that we try to treat everybody exactly the same. We try to treat everybody equally. It doesn't matter who your attorney is. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter, that we try to treat everybody exactly the same. And that's what I promise to continue to try to do. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve in this office for another 4 years. Thank you.
Well, thank you, all of you candidates. I'd like to vote for all of you because I think you're all qualified. And I'll tell you, if you've never run for public office, You probably won't understand all that it's about, but I have a deep appreciation for those that will, in the community, who will get their clipboard and go out and collect names and get their name on the ballot and then knock on doors and get elected. It's not an easy process. I know for a fact that it's not an easy process because I've done it. And I remember coming up a little bit short, and I can say that it feels a whole lot better to win than it does to lose. But I made that statement that I had lost to a well-known senator, and he said, "No, Ed, you didn't lose, you came up short. You were a winner when you got out there and you got your name on the ballot and you went out and you campaigned and you tried to do something for your city." So that's the way I look at it. So thank you, every one of you, all you guys. We really appreciate it. This is a nonpartisan group tonight together. We don't make any connection between what party you serve. We just want to make sure that the public gets to meet you and when they go to the polls that they will be informed. That's what this is all about. So thank you very much for coming. And I want to remind you that early voting starts September the 17th. And I want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. Very important. And also, I want to remind you that the library closes about 15 minutes till 8. We need everybody to be out by that time because it does close at 8 o'clock. Okay? Again, thank you for being here, whether you're here as a candidate or a family or whoever you might be. Thank you very much for being here. God bless you.